Hi there, I'm Travis Czap. Welcome to Comics on Screen with ComicsVerse. For our very first episode, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite superheroes, Daredevil. We're going to start off our first episode revisiting the first Daredevil movie starring Ben Affleck, Jennifer Garner, Colin Farrell, Michael Clark Duncan, and Jon Favreau as Foggy Nelson. Now, personally, I really think that the first movie gets a little bit more flack than it deserves, but I will say that it gets a lot better if you watch the director's cut. The director's cut of the movie adds an entirely new dimension to Matthew Murdock. You get to explore what it's like for him as a lawyer by day, superhero by night, and we really explore a court case that goes hand in hand with all of the things that are going on in his nightly pursuits as a superhero. The defendant that is actually part of the court case is played by Coolio, so you get to see Coolio in a movie role, which is always fun, and really develop this whole character and dimension of Matt Murdock's life way better than the original cut ever did. Now, you still have to deal with the Evanescence soundtrack and some of the more outrageous things like Colin Farrell's Bullseye, but overall it's a huge improvement on the movie. If you get a chance to watch it, I would absolutely recommend that you give it a shot before you judge the first cut a little bit too harshly. Those of you who have been following Daredevil's Netflix pursuits will be happy to know that The Defenders will be coming to your screens on August 18th, 2017. This series is going to see Daredevil teaming up with Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones to fight the Hand and Madame Gao. Now, we're also going to be seeing some of those fantastic second characters such as Misty Knight, Foggy Nelson, and I'm kind of hoping for Nuke personally, but we'll see what happens. They might be saving him for season 2 of Jessica Jones. In any case, The Defenders is going to be an event that you do not want to miss, so make sure that you are watching Netflix on August 18th. Our next segment is going to be the first edition of something I call 20 seconds. So we're going to put 20 seconds on the clock and see how many complaints I can come up with about the original Daredevil movie. All right, 20 seconds, here we go. Number 1, the Evanescence soundtrack just does not fit the movie at all. Number 2, Colin Farrell's Bullseye is ridiculous. Number 3, Jennifer Garner's Elektra, don't get me started. Number 4, how come Daredevil signs his arrests with gasoline? Number 5, with all the characters that we actually introduce, how come there's no stick? How come in the rain you can actually see the outlines and details of Jennifer Garner's irises? That's 20 seconds. Okay, that was a lot of negativity, so let's get 20 seconds back on the clock, and this time let's focus on the good parts of the movie. 20 seconds back on the clock? All right. I really liked Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin, and also Foggy Nelson, done by Jon Favreau, was really good. The child actor that they got to be Daredevil in the origin story did a really good job as well, and it included a really awesome Stan Lee cameo. I also thought that the use of the baton in this movie was much better than anything we've seen from Netflix so far, and the focus on boxing was also really well done. I'm kind of a boxing fan. Lastly, the Daredevil director's cut, you really just gotta see it. I know I went over time, but really, you just gotta check out the director's cut. We're going to end our episode today with the top 5 things that we want to see from Netflix's Daredevil Season 3. Now, number 1, I want to see more Kingpin. I'll get a little bit more specific into the details of how I want to see Kingpin, but frankly, he was awesome in Season 1 and 2, and I just can't get enough of him. Give me more Kingpin in Season 3. I'd also love to see the Owl, because we've gotten the Owl in Season 1 starting to get set up, but we really haven't seen the actual villain himself yet, and I'd love to see him, really wreaking havoc across New York City and becoming more of a threat for Daredevil to have to face. Another villain I'd love to see is Bullseye. We got him in the Ben Affleck movie, but really, that wasn't what most comic book fans were expecting, so I would love to see what Marvel has in store for a more MCU Netflix version of the character. I think it would be a lot more accurate to the comics and a lot more like what people are hoping for, so that's one thing I'd love to see in Netflix Season 3 of Daredevil. I'd also love to see just more crossover with the other Defenders in general. Now, we got Elektra, we got Punisher in Season 2, and those are great, but I'd love to see, Luke Cage showing up for an episode to help out. I'd love to see Iron Fist and Daredevil having a team up, because there's 2 martial artists. That would be some great fight scenes. But we're gonna have the Defenders. I'd still love to see some of the crossover in the solo episodes. Get a little bit more of that interconnectivity that the MCU movies are known for. I know the TV series and the Netflix series aren't too connected to the movies, but I think they could be a little bit more connected to each other. The last thing that I really want to see is a Born Again storyline, and maybe that's more for Season 4 than Season 3, but we would need to start getting it set up in Season 3. For those of you who aren't too familiar with the storyline, essentially, Daredevil's entire life is ripped from him when Kingpin finds out his real identity. The way he finds out his real identity is through Karen Page, who has a drug addiction at the time and in exchange for more drugs, sells out Matthew Murdock. So we would have to set up that drug addiction in season 3 to make this a season 4 storyline, but it would be a really awesome way to show the fall from grace and then Matthew Murdock kind of rising from the ashes to become Daredevil again and take down Kingpin once and for all. I'd love to see that storyline, but like I said, we need to start teasing that and setting that up in season 3. So that's my number 1 thing that I would love to see in season 3 of Daredevil. And as a whole, that's our top 5 things that we want to see in Netflix's season 3 of Marvel's Daredevil. Thanks for joining us here at Comics On Screen by ComicsVerse for our very first episode where we were talking about Daredevil. I'm your host, Travis Czap, and as always, you can find all kinds of new content from ComicsVerse at comicsverse.com, on Facebook, YouTube, and pretty much every social media network. So make sure you check us out, and don't forget to join us next time where we'll be talking about Batman. Have a great day.